Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Many people have asked me recently to do more videos on hydroponic, especially the AeroGarden. And today is a great opportunity because I actually just cleaned out the unit. I moved one of the large plants into soil so I have space for a different one. Also because I am running out of white Thai peppers. All of my backup in the frozen bags are all used up, so I need to try to rush the plant so that I can get some peppers to use soon. I do have a bunch grown in soil, but they do tend to take a little bit longer than hydroponic. So today is April 27th 2020, and we're going to dig this white Thai pepper out here, and then we're going to place it into our hydro unit and try to rush it and get some peppers quickly. Alright, so let's go ahead and dig it up. You also have to clean it up nicely and kind of like quarantine it because it's been outside, so there may be some pests that's on there that you may not see. Sometimes when you bring plants inside, you're going to bring aphids in there and it's going to be a pain. So I'm going to dig this out. I want all of the roots to be intact because that helps the recovery process when you transplant it into hydroponic. So try to not damage any of the roots. Well, I damaged some, but that should be okay. Alright, so we're going to clean this up and treat it. I'm going to put some soap on here and try to get everything off of it. So you can actually just get a bowl of water with some soap and just rinse this off first and just dump the plant in there, and that should work. So let me go ahead and clean this off. Alright guys, so you can do it in your sink if you like, or just do it in a bowl. Just let's get some soap like that and just wash it off. Try to get the bubbles on there because just in case any bugs are hiding in there. And these are grown outdoors, so they're pretty tough, so you can actually handle them roughly and they should be okay. But if you have a baby plant, try to be gentle. Okay, that is clean water. I'm gonna rinse it off. And here is the AeroGarden cup. And as you can see, I cut it because I removed the other plants. You can cut these, it's just fine. They're pretty tough, so when you put it in the hole, it'll shape it up again. So don't worry about cutting this, they're fine. And because I don't have the sponge from AeroGarden, we're going to use rock wool, and we're going to try to cut a square that would fit into here. Kind of like that. And you want the growing part of the plant above the rock wool, like so. Like that, and that should work too, so it gives it a little bit of support at the bottom. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this inside and put it into our unit. Okay, here is my unit all cleaned up and ready to go. My this little stopper here was damaged from the one that initially came with the AeroGarden, and I just use a scrubbing thing right here, the scrubbing pad. You can get this at a dollar store. This whole thing is $1, and you can just cut it to the same shape as the original, and then that should use as a filter. So here it is. I learned this trick from Matt Garver, So it's actually very, very effective and so cheap. You can cut like hundreds of these for just $1. But if you order on the AeroGarden, those things are very expensive. Okay, and then see, my unit is nice and clean. And fit this in there. There you go. And now we need to add our nutrients. Alright guys, so for mixing nutrients, try to keep it simple. What I normally do is use a gallon, and you can buy these tea container, and then save it, and then you can use it. These are very high quality, so I've been using this for a very long time. So 1 gallon of water, and then we're going to pH the nutrients to 5.9. So as I mentioned, the nutrients I'm going to use is the Dynagrow 795. Shake it up nicely. And then we're going to add the nutrients first. Okay, once you add the nutrients, you can close the container and then give it a good shake for about a few minutes. Okay, so make sure it's dispersed nicely. And then we're going to pH. Before you pH, you always want to measure. And I use this pH meter here. I've used multiple different kinds, and like this cheap one here. And I'm very disappointed with these because these are not very accurate. And sometimes it does all kinds of weird readings. So I bought like maybe 4 of these already, and it keeps going bad. They're like $13, but guys, save your money. Just don't buy these $13 ones. Invest in a good meter so that it gives you accurate reading. I mean, 3 or 4 of those would probably be equivalent to this. So just save the money and buy the nice pH meter. So you're gonna measure your nutrients and adjust your nutrients to around 5.9. And the key for me is I know how much, how high the pH is in the water as soon as I add the nutrients. So I memorize it. And also, I use these medicine dropper here, and I memorize how many drops it takes to bring the nutrients down to exactly 5.9. So do that, because sometimes your meter may be out of battery, or maybe the bulb is not working, or whatever the case may be. You can still mix your nutrients without having it. So I know how many drops it takes to get my nutrients down to the level that I want. And that is it. So as simple as that. So the key is to get your water, then add your nutrients, measure the pH of the nutrients once you give it a good shake and everything dispersed nicely, and then use the pH down to adjust the pH. So memorize how many drops it would take to get your nutrients down to the level of 5.9 or 6.1 is fine as well. And after that, you can just use it without the pH meter. Even if you lost your pH meter or run out of battery or whatever, it still will give you the exact pH without having any tools. Okay, so that is my trick for you guys. So we will be back soon once the plants grow a little bit more, and I will give you guys an update. Okay, so let's go ahead and add our nutrients, and you can pour it through here, but it's a lot slower, so I just move the lid and just pour it in. Okay, and that is it. And then we're going to plug in the pump. And there you have it. And then place the light as low as you can. The LED is not very hot, so you can put as low as just a few inches above, as low as the lowest setting basically. And then as it grows, you can move it up. And that's how you can keep your plant nice and strong, and the stem is very thick because the intensity needs to be pretty good. Okay, so there it is. We will be back soon once they grow a little bit. Almost forgot one more thing. So people always ask the cycle, and my pump is set to come on 1 hour, off 1 hour, and the light is for 10 hours. So it doesn't matter what time you turn it on or what time you turn it off. Just set it for 10 hours a day and it should be okay. So I usually have it on like in the morning, and then in the afternoon around 6 or 7, something like that, it turns off by itself, exactly 10 hours. Alright guys, it has been exactly 7 days now and the plant has recovered. It has put out new roots now, so we will take a look. And I have not done anything to it. It's exactly as it was when we started the process. And because I have extra space, I'm using it to grow other plants. But let's take a look. Okay, and here is what it looks like right now. I'm gonna zoom in and show you what's going on. The leaves are going to kind of like have these brown spots on the outside, and that is normal. It's just a little shock that you took it out of the soil and into hydroponic, and that's just normal signs of stress, but it will recover. So here it is. I'm gonna pull it up and show you. You see those new roots right there? Try not to pull it up too often, because when you put it back you could potentially damage it. And then the initial roots, the brown one, it may die back. You don't need to do anything to that, just leave it there, and new roots will form, and lots more roots will form eventually, and it's gonna take over the container. So that's what it looks like in just 7 days. Oops, I broke a root, but that's okay. It's gonna put out new ones. So we'll be back soon, and I will give you guys another update. Alright guys, it has been exactly 25 days now, and the plant is looking amazing. Look at all these new growth, and it even started to push flowers here. But what we're gonna do today is we're going to set it back a little bit, because I'm not ready for this plant to produce flowers and fruits, because as you can see, it has like one single branch pointing upward, and then all these large leaves here, it's blocking all of the bottom shoots here. I want these shoots to come out all over the place, so I want a fuller plant. Also, I want a shorter plant. I don't want anything that's too tall, because the AeroGarden can only support I think 24 inches tall. So that is the reason why I'm not going to let the plant grow too tall. So today what we're going to do, you see there's some flowers here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch it off right there to get rid of the flowers. And then you see here, all of these larger leaves are blocking my branches right here. I want these branches to grow, so we're going to pluck away. This may look crazy to a lot of people that haven't grown in hydroponic before, and if you have, this is pretty normal. In hydro, there's always nutrients available, so the plants will always make a comeback very quickly. So don't worry about the pruning process. I do this very often. I mean, I think in every hydro unit that I grow, I prune very heavily, because I want the plant to be shorter and fuller, because of the limited space. That is the reason. It does set the plant back a little bit, so just be aware of that. So I'm gonna also clean up some of these here, because it's kind of like getting in the way, and you want some airflow to go through here. So more airflow is actually good for the plant. So see, look at all these leaves that I pulled off. I cut about basically half of the plant already. You see there? So there it is, guys. 25 days, and we just did a topping. So we'll be back again, and I will give you guys an update soon. Okay guys, I did additional pruning off camera because it kind of took a while. I needed to get all of the leaves that are around here blocking lights from getting through to these branches. So I plucked, I think I plucked like 2/3 of the plants off. Look at this, I had to crush the leaves to hold it in. That's how much leaves that I took off. And take this one off as well. You see, this is all that is left of it. So we will be back once the plant makes a recovery, and then I will give you guys an update. Alright guys, it has been 2 weeks now since we trimmed the plant back, and look at this plant here. It is nice and bushy and short, and that is exactly how we want it, because as I mentioned, we can't have anything that grows too crazy out of control in the AeroGarden. So we're going to try to manage it and keep it small, and it is actually working. And you can see after 2 weeks they have grown these shoots here, and the middle, that's where we trimmed it, these little sides are starting to grow. But now it is starting to focus its energy on fruiting. So we're gonna get fruiting from the sides. So these branches here, this one here, and all of those sides right there, they're going to produce fruits very soon. So I'm going to leave the plant the way it is right now. Maybe I'll do occasional plucking of the leaves. You see here, this one is like kind of like blocking that one there. So I'll just remove that. So that's what you should do. Just anytime there is a branch that is being covered, remove the leaf that's covering it, and that should be it. Just leave the plant and monitor your water, the nutrients. Every 3 weeks you should change it, because at this stage the plant is going to be a little more sensitive because it's starting to fruit. So if you leave the nutrients too long, it becomes out of balance, and then it will affect the fruiting process, and the flowers may drop. So the more sensitive the plants are, like the super hots, they will drop flowers easily. These Thai varieties here, they're more sturdy, more hardy, so they will keep the flowers even if you kind of like neglect them a little bit. So they're not as sensitive as the super hots, but just make sure 2 to 3 weeks change the nutrients, and that should be good. And make sure your pH is always on point. Don't let it fluctuate too much. If it's above 6.5, make sure to adjust it. If it's below 5.5, adjust it. And that should be it, guys. So let's keep monitoring this, and I will come back and show you what happens when the plant begin to produce some fruits. Alright guys, it has been 4 weeks since we trimmed the plant, and the total time for the entire process has been 83 days. We now have peppers, you see here, and there are lots of flowers that are starting to form. And I have some new projects I'm working on. See these little bags right there? Those are my new cross projects. So you're gonna see that in future videos. But the plant is doing amazing. It's looking really nice and healthy. It's very sturdy and short, and that is exactly what I want. And as I mentioned, that is because we're grown in the AeroGarden unit. There's not a lot of room to grow tall, so we need to keep it short. So there it is right there. That's where we initially trimmed it. and then we cleared a lot of the leaves so that some of these side branches here can start to grow. So as you can see, they are growing, and each of the branch right here are putting out a good amount of flowers, like maybe 10 or so per branch, and they will continue to grow more. So I'm gonna get lots of nice fruits for this plant, and also because it depends on variety as well. The Thai, the white Thai right here, is very easy to train. So I train it to be short, but there are certain varieties that regardless of what you do, they're still gonna grow pretty tall. So it's always a good idea to keep your light as low as possible, because these light hood right here, they're not very hot. So they're not gonna burn the plant. They're not gonna do any damage at all. So putting it like 2 to 3 inches would be no problem, and that's what I recommend, because the closer you put the hood here to the plant, because it's not very strong, it will help increase intensity so that the plant can grow lower and shorter within the AeroGarden unit. So you cannot always do that with every light setup. It depends on intensity and the strength of your light. So there's certain ones that if you put right above here, it'll burn it. So for the AeroGarden, I know that it won't. So that's where I usually put it, and the plant is just looking amazing, guys. There is very healthy. What I did since the last nutrient change was for the entire process, I did not change the nutrients, because the plants were small and it didn't drink too much, so you don't have to fill too much. And as it gets bigger and bigger, you have to fill it to the max line, and then once it starts to bloom, this is when you have to be more careful. So when it started to bloom, I switched out the nutrients completely and give it some fresh ones. Make sure that the pH is on point and your nutrient strength is accurate, which I use 5 milliliter of Dyna-Gro per gallon of water, pH at 5.9, and that's usually where I keep it. You can switch to the Dyna-Gro, the Bloom series, this one here, at this point if you want to. For me, I did not. I just kept everything as Dyna-Gro, because I'm really running out of the Bloom portion right here, so I'm trying to save it for something else. But the good idea is to use Grow all the way until the plant started to bloom, and then once it starts to bloom, then you switch over to the Bloom series, and then you can just use that going forward, and it'll be the same exact mix, 5 milliliter. You can reduce it a little bit if you want, but that's usually where I keep it, 5 ml, and then 1 gallon, and pH at 5.9. So that is it, guys. That is my complete guide to grown peppers in the AeroGarden unit. It is possible. The only thing that you have to do is do trimming, depending on what varieties you grow. Some varieties is going to grow all over the place, and if you don't keep it in check, that's what's going to happen. It's going to grow out, and it's going to become kind of like viney. So that's what I always do. I keep it short and I trim a lot, and to keep it contained within this small area. And just keep your pump. The pump, I usually do 60 minutes on and 60 minutes off. The light, I go from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can do it a little less, but don't do more. I mean, there is no need to put your lights on for 24 hours. That is just a waste of energy. Don't do it, guys. The plants need the downtime. At night it does switch energy on focusing on other things. So just try to mimic nature. 10 hours is good enough. 9, 8 is fine as well. So do not do 24 hours. That's my recommendation for you. And that is it. So if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave it below, and thank you so much for watching. Alright guys, just as an added bonus, I'm gonna show you the place where I took the plant from to grow in the AeroGarden. And this was where the plant was, I replaced it with a tobacco plant. But I think in the video and from the beginning you could see this guy here growing right next to the one that I pulled out. So right there it's still pretty small, and then the other few right there are also still very small. So inside the AeroGarden unit, it grows so fast because there's no competition, there's no condition from the outdoor stuff that could cause it to have delays. There's no soil mixture that would, cause the plant to also delay. So that's why it grows very fast. When the other ones that were the same size or maybe even larger are now smaller. Okay, so that I just wanted to show you guys that.